paying debt that may never happen before it's due, we're going to have to get away from that because you two are doing well.
Okay.
Do you feel that or do you not?
And I do feel like we are taking the right steps and we've done the right things for at least a certain number of years. I do think before that we were just living our lives without thinking about any of this kind of stuff. Like we still were not being super foolhardy, obviously. Like we didn't, either of us even like do anything too crazy in our 20s as it relates to getting into a lot of debt, even just developing habits of lifestyle creep, that kind of thing. So that aspect, I think, set us up for what we are dealing with now. It has literally probably only been since, I want to say like 2019 and 2020 that I started really considering, wow, you haven't really put any more than the company match into your retirement. You've not really done, any of the things that you probably should be thinking about. And what am I doing? Right. So it was a little wake up call, but I think, I do think we've taken some good steps recently.
Welcome to the Childfree Wealth Podcast, hosted by Bri and Dr. J, certified financial planner. Here we discuss life and finances as it relates to being child-free. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please consult your advisor before implementing any ideas heard on this podcast.
All right. So I was just looking at what's it been like? It's been a full month, I guess.
I think it has. Yeah.
Anything fun happen over the past month?
Fun. It's a good question. I had a birthday, so that was pretty fun.
That was fun.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, that was, I always have my birthday right around 1st of spring. So it's always usually pretty gray and wet, rainy on my birthday, but the new seasons are a joy. So I'm happy to be in spring now. But yeah, going out, we had a little celebration too. I passed one of my certification tests that I had a lot of lead up to. So a couple little celebrations throughout the month for me, which was fun. But yeah, other than that, just business as usual.
And Matt, did you do anything fun or you just get to be part of the birthday celebration?
Being part of the birthday celebration was fun. And to go out to take you out to dinner and
yeah, we did a couple little things. It's been good. We have been having our weekly check-in. I was going to ask. Yeah, no, I know last time we did not report that we did so. This time we did. I can't say it was always on the day we had planned, but we did make it happen. So that's been good. I think our goals that we laid out at the beginning of the month, because this was a extra paycheck month for all of us, for both of us, I should say. We had some included. We had some goals outlined for putting extra money on the car loan, as well as putting some money aside for travel, which we have planned in May. And we got some of those goals achieved, not all of them. I did pick up the book that you recommended, The Gap and the Gain. So I'm not yet through it. I prefaced it with that. But as it relates to measuring our successes and not just what we didn't achieve has been my challenge this month. So.
And Matt, have you been able to help her on that? Kind of keeping an eye on the gain?
I have been trying, yeah. Everywhere, anytime I hear her kind of talk negatively about something, I'll be like, hey, here's also the good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, because I think I have a little bit of an allergy to this positive, just Pollyanna syndrome, however you want to put it, where it's everything's just good and happy. And I find motivation in the negative, although I don't think I find happiness in the negative, which is, I think, should be an equal goal, if not to the degree where, trying to shift my mindset has been a challenge, for real. That's not something that comes naturally. Trying to, look at what we did achieve, which was actually, for me, putting $1,500 on our car loan is an unheard of thing for us. We don't do that. So having my full, a little less than my full paycheck go to our debt was, I've not done that in a long, long time. So that was, to me, something that should be, I think, celebrated or at least acknowledged as a step in the right direction, even though, the extra paycheck we were going to put aside from you for travel kind of got ate up through some other things that we,
birthday celebration.
Some of it was, the birthday stuff. Some of it was we decided that we wanted to get involved in a kickboxing class. So we're doing a string of 10 classes together. That was, a cost, but it was something we said, we want to pay for this. So that kind of was where some of that other money went. But ultimately, it's just been shifting that mindset and trying to, see the benefits of, or rather the achievements, and, maybe not getting 100% on even like the exam, for example. Like I didn't ace it, but I passed with a healthy margin. So that's what I needed.
It's funny because you just gave me 3 examples of the issue you're working through. All the same thing, really. The exam is a great example of like, you need to pass. You don't get a special certification for getting 100. You don't get a different frame. You don't get like.
Correct. So funny. It's exactly I had to tell myself that, where it's like, oh man, I could have passed by a stronger margin. It's like, well, but you passed by a really solid margin. So why are you complaining? Like,
it even doesn't matter the margin. You passed.
Right.
That's all that matters.
That literally is the only thing they're measuring. It's so true.
And that's not being Pollyanna-ish. It's just like, yay, let's celebrate we passed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've written exams for different things, and sometimes the questions you just can't get right because like they're bad questions. Like you can't force yourself. Oh no, I did not get the bad questions right. Like,
right now you got to give yourself some grace and some leeway to just be satisfied with what you achieved. I think that's an important thing for me to have learned, and to continue to learn. Like I said, it's a change in mindset. So it's like exercising a new muscle, of which we're also trying to exercise ourselves. And you wake up the next day and you're sore and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel normal because I'm not used to doing it like this. But the overall benefits are very apparent. And
before I come back to Matt, I'm going to ask Matt a question. Matt, is she trying to be the ace at the kickboxing class too?
I don't think she is. No, she has done martial arts in the past, and I think you took that more seriously than this, because this kickboxing is more like a Taibo or jazzercise thing.
Right.
Like,
we didn't know what we were kind of getting into at first, but I did expect it to be more of like a technical and like formal training. It was not. Yeah. So once I saw that, like, I'm very aware of my fitness journey that I have I've got a lot of sedentary years behind me here. So I know that I have a long way to go to achieve what everyone else who's been going for weeks and months. They look very much like they can handle what they're doing. I know my place. While at the same time, we did push ourselves probably a little bit too hard to try to keep up. Mm-hmm. And that was, again, apparent the next day when we were like, we overdid it. We need to just know our place, check our ego at the door, and just chill out. So yeah, I think we both have that.
Mm-hmm. And where I'm going with this is like, okay, we put $1,500 towards the car that we wouldn't have normally. Mm-hmm. We decided to take our extra money and pick something different fun to do instead of travel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where's the problem?
Well, I guess it's that we still have the trip planned. Like, we're going to do it as well. So it's not like
and we'll just have the money for it.
Right. Yeah. We can make it happen. We found some extra credit card points that we put and paid for our Airbnb with. So I feel good about that. But yes, your point stands. There is no bad thing to trade one thing for another, or even just say, I want to do that too, right?
Well, it's a balancing act. And what I'm looking at is you had a plan for your money and you did it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what category you pick. Kickboxing or travel, it's like whatever makes your life more amazing, just do it. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you, Rebekah, just kind of like food for thought. And I think Matt can do this by nature, is we're trying to optimize for 2 things. How do we make your finances more simple, and how do we make your life more amazing? Worrying about your finances, does that make it more simple?
Worrying doesn't really do anything.
Well, that's my point. Yeah, but like we've been doing some of that.
Yeah.
I want you to test everything. Does it make my finances more simple? Does it make my life more amazing? Paying down the car actually does make your life more simple. Like it's getting rid of that debt. Like that's got a good point. Not really making your life more amazing, but it is making your finances more simple.
Absolutely.
The money you spent on kickboxing and other fun stuff made your life more amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did not make your finances more simple. That's okay. Mm-hmm. We have to have a balance. Once we get out of debt, we lean harder on the amazing side. But it's like, you've got to find that. And you're like, well, we met weekly, but not on the current day. I don't care. We met weekly.
Yes.
I think the hard part is I'm not really trying to be Pollyanna-ish. I'm not trying to be like the world's perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to keep focus on what matters. Simple finances, amazing life. Yes,
I like that. That's a really good. When you boil it down to those 2 things, that frames it all in a way that I think that, you can point to something and go, this is actually fine. I don't need to feel, because I felt a little bit of the guilt too with the birthday stuff, because you went and, you got me a little more expensive than normal gift, and you did some things for me that I thought were like, oh, I was very appreciative of. I was just more like, oh, but our goals, and so it's like ultimately the things that we did together and the new jewelry thing you got me is like makes my life much more amazing. So what's the problem?
I got to build it still.
Yes. The jewelry stand you got to build. Yeah. That'll happen.
You gave her a gift that you didn't build?
Yeah,
really?
It's part of the gift. He's got to do the
second half. It came in like the
half.
day before her birthday, and I was like, I don't have enough time to build it, but it will be built. And man,
at some point, someday,
it's gonna happen.
My whole point is like you got to give the gift. You got to build it right then. But okay, we'll let you go a little bit. But Rebekah, what I want you to be mindful of is what really matters. Mm-hmm. You're worried about goals that really don't matter. Getting 100 on the test doesn't matter. Does getting 100 on your test make your life more amazing?
It does not. No, it doesn't.
Getting the certification might help, but like
you don't even get to talk about it. Nobody even asks you, and so you just get to like it's just for you, and it ultimately doesn't help anybody.
And whether or not you did the worst on the test or the best on the test, like as long as you passed, like
that's true. It's facts.
Yeah.
Well, and what happens is for the CFP exam, one of the nice things is we don't get a score. You only get a score if you fail.
Okay.
So if it shows up and it shows like you did that was bad.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, like, congrats, have a good day.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm actually, that's a fantastic way to do it.
I will tell you, it bothered me that I couldn't get a score.
Right? A little bit. You're like, I want to know by how much. Yes. Oh, that's funny.
And then I was like, well, I got it done really quickly. Does that mean it's good? I did well. Like, none of that matters.
It's not the metric, right?
What's going to happen, by the way, is now that you're aware of the difference, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. Mm-hmm. The gap in the gate. Have you started seeing it over the past month?
I think I have. And and again, Matt has been a huge help to me to like, just to realign, like when I'm starting to go down that path of just like, kind of regroup and really understand what we're doing here. And he's very good at just, letting me say my piece, but then just gently realigning me to, but don't forget, this is still a really good thing. We're still on track. We're far better off than we were when we started this year. We've had a lot of, really just positive momentum. And now for me personally to like, let that become a natural thing, I think I still have a long way to go with it. I will say the book that you recommended, The Gap and the Gain, like some of the things in there I think are rather radical from this standpoint of like, you should attempt, and it's a good thought exercise and even a good way to exercise that muscle to go when something negative happens, go ahead and identify the gains in that. What can you see in the, in the hardships that are going to help your life in the future or even in the now. I think that's, again, just another way to like maximize your joy, maximize your, your satisfaction in the moment, because ultimately if we're just, I guess, laboring and striving for some level of perfection, it's unattainable. And to me, that message has landed. Putting it into practice is not there yet, but the message has definitely landed. So
yeah, and we'll check back in like 2 years and it might have landed. But like, because we're unprogramming years and years of experience. And
true.
It's funny, some of the stuff you started with, where you kind of start off like, well, we didn't do this right. And it's like, you're waiting for like that moment where like the beatings will continue until morale improves. Like that kind of what it feels like.
It's almost
I'm like,
how
no,
it is. Yeah,
that doesn't work.
It's a losing formula. Yeah.
The interesting thing I want you to think about is with the kickboxing, you didn't say you have to have the goal perfect. Why is that one different than everything else?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a belt?
I will say, though, it's a good question, because I guess measuring me just against my own, I'm, more or less a realist. I know that I can't lift my own body weight. I know I can't do a lot of the things that I want to be able to do and should be able to do physically, that I have a long way to go. And I guess I just make room for that. But then at the same time, I do think if the class had more structure where they're like, by week 4, I need you to be able to, break a board with this strike. Please practice this strike. I would be like, all right, I'm there. Right. So there's a little bit more of when there's more structure or a defined, I guess I get more in my head about it, as opposed to just like a personal, it only affects me goal, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out myself, because that's a good question. Why that is different. Yeah.
And you stumbled into something, which is where I was going with it. Not having a goal allowed you to not worry about it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Now, Matt, I think you by nature are kind of much more of a kind of live and let live. Goals aren't the priority. Let's call it that. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
What do you think about this idea? If Rebekah doesn't have a goal, she can just be happier with it and just go through it.
Yeah, I also know that, having those goals motivates her quite a bit, but it is nice to see when you unwind and you don't have a goal, there's nothing in the day that you need to do. You kind of just, you definitely seem happier for it and more relaxed.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think the aspect of like a fear of, I guess, complacency if I don't have something driving me is, for some certain things, obviously not for everything, keeps me kind of moving forward. But ultimately, the aspect of elevating like just your day-to-day satisfaction and contentment and gratitude and all these things that just, can enrich your life in the moment and over the course of your life, make it much more enjoyable, and probably I'd be more enjoyable to be around too. Not a tyrant, but I when I go into heads down mode, I got to make something happen. I might disappear a little more, not be as available or as in the moment. So all things to acknowledge for sure.
And where I'm going with this is one of the problems with finances is there's a number, and that can be a goal. And like, I got to hit this number. I got to hit that. And I'm worried that's going to be a negative for you.
Gotcha.
What we may have to do, I'm not saying we're going to be able to do it, just may, is Matt keeps an eye on the overall financial goal, and Rebekah keeps an eye on the amazing life.
Okay.
Because the amazing life doesn't have a goal. There's no like 9 out of 10 amazing life or 8 out of 10. Like,
sure. Yeah. That's not measurable in that way. Yeah.
Could you do that? Could you let Matt be in charge of the goal on finances?
I think so. I think trust is certainly there. It was just relinquishing control from the perspective of, you get it. You know what I'm going with that.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point.
Okay.
Can you let go and focus on what matters, which is the amazing life?
I can try. I can definitely try. I think that I think I can do it. Yes. I mean, I know I can do it. It would take some self-discipline and some, again, just having to rein in some, like you said, it's been years. So let's just like acknowledge that it's going to go against my nature for a while there. But ultimately it's, again, it's not a lack of trust. It would just be more of a, okay, I'm just going to stop focusing on this for a while and refocus my energy on, things that are more tangible. I'll just put it that way, or even just in the here and now. Yeah.
And by the way, like all this is stuff we're all working on. Like, I'm not saying I have this down. Like,
oh yeah, no.
But what I'm realizing is, in actuality, it sounds like goals are triggers to you. You have to. The goal triggers a certain behavior that has to be perfect, and it has to be done right, and it has to be done within like the money has to go to the travel. No, it doesn't. The money has to go to enjoying your life. But that goal of money going to the travel set off another spin.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It's interesting.
Matt, what do you think about that?
I think seeing me being, take over a little bit of the financial stuff would help you very much kind of unwind and take it more easier and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's no risk. Like the harm there's no harm. It can only really benefit us. Because like I said, I don't sit here going, oh, you're going to miss something and we're going to be ruined. It's like, that's not a reality I entertain. It's just more, just getting that control relinquished and just go, okay, this is something I can take a backseat in and the world won't end.
Matt, as a first step, can you run the budget meetings for the next month?
Sure. Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Rebekah, are you okay? Like, you're giving faces on that. Like,
you're
like I'm reading your face and you're like, wait, we were talking about theoretical and now we're talking about actually doing something. So,
no, I think that's hilarious. My poker face isn't the best, but no, I think it's a great idea and we should absolutely do that. Yes. I mean that. Yeah.
The truth is, trying it for a month, there's almost nothing you can mess up that much.
And again, I absolutely don't think that there would be any avenue that would happen.
Not relinquishing all tax controls and credit card numbers and everything over to me. We're just starting small.
even just taking
Matt, you good with that?
I'm great with that.
Taking some of the mental load where it's just like, okay, I don't have to think about that. He's going to prepare a few talking points or agenda items or just be the one to start the conversation is enough, sometimes.
I'm going to be a tyrant, though.
All right. See a different side of you.
So here's a fun one of this one, right? Matt planning the budget meeting is 5 minutes of work for him before the meeting and doing the meeting. Is that fair, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. You, on the other hand, Rebekah, have thought it out. I got an agenda. We got to talk about these things. We got to have a structure. What are we going to discuss? It's a lot more work, but it gets at the same goal. He can just do it more efficiently. Let's call it that.
Sure. Yeah. Less painfully, probably. No, that's great. I look forward to it. I think it'd be a good shift. I think it'd be really little role reversal and nothing wrong with that.
By the way, we'll come back to this because next month, Rebekah's going to be like, yeah, that sucked. I didn't want to give up control. Hey, pup. Oh, how cute. I saw a note.
She likes to hang out on
Which one is
table.
this?
This is Cora. Coraline.
Cora.
Yeah.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah, she's our Great Pyrenees.
Yeah.
All white, fluffy. She's a good girl.
Awesome. Where I'm going this, by the way, is you may find there are other things you two could swap for each other. This is just easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll give you a dumb example of this. So we had a package lost in our apartment complex. I had it shipped here. I put the wrong address. I swapped the numbers. I do not want to meet any of my neighbors and go knock on the door and ask for a package. This is the nightmare fuel for me.
Okay.
Okay. That's just not what I do.
Yeah. I hear you.
My wife's like, I'll go knock on the door and ask for the damn package. What's the issue?
That's so funny.
But it's anxiety producing to me to go to somebody's house and be like, hi, do you have my mail?
Mm-hmm.
And it no logic whatsoever. I would probably go, you know what? Forget it. Package is lost. Let me order a new one.
Right. You'd prefer to, that's actually hilarious because I think I would be similar. Well, I don't know which of us would be more adverse to going up to strangers and asking them for a favor.
I think we both have anxiety about that.
A little bit.
I think when it comes to the first person who has the thought, they've already overthought it, and now they're having a miniature anxiety attack. So the other person just goes, well, I'll do it. It's not that bad for me. I haven't overthought it yet.
Yeah, we both would be uncomfortable, but I would still do it as opposed to you buying the package over. I'd be like, no, we're not doing that.
No, if it ever shows up, we have two.
Well, I'm with you, Matt. And by the way, the best part was the package came in on Saturday. Sunday was the holiday, and nobody was around. So it wasn't until Monday, and I'm just getting this is getting way too much in my head for no reason. It's a stupid package. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But what happens is we all have those things that just don't sit well with us.
Yep.
And that's what we get to do with a spouse. Can you do that for me?
No.
It just comes easier. There's no reason. Yeah, I like it.
And that's what I'm trying to do, Rebekah. So I'm trying to identify the things that bring you more joy. The thing Matt, I said, Matt, hey, do the budget meeting. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. No big deal. It was
oh yeah, no, he's very compliant and down for anything. So yeah, he's always...
Except for asking about packages and
right.
strangers. Yeah.
That is fair.
But that's my point. Then she has to go ask for. By the way, you're going to actually have to have this happen in the next month, and you're like, okay, so that happened to us. We ordered something new.
It's definitely could happen. That's so funny.
Especially with our neighbor, they have a very close number to ours, our house number.
Yeah.
It's weird.
All house numbers are a little close, but.
Well, that was it. It was the first two numbers are 21 versus 22 on ours, and that's it. It went somewhere else.
All it takes.
Ours are basically 201 and then 210. So it's just flipped.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Where I'm going with this, I want you to identify things you can pass to each other.
Okay.
Matt, is there anything you could think of that Rebekah could handle easier than you can?
Not really in my day-to-day. I don't really do too much, do I?
I don't think it's not like jobs or tasks, but just
thinking about something.
Well, put it this way, what we've really just described here is you taking some of the mental load off of me. We talk about mental household, I guess, responsibility that you just, someone who kind of handles the doctor's appointments and the grocery list. And you handle very aptly when we get our groceries, like when we're like we usually schedule stuff for pickup and stuff, like, you know, if you said this week you're going to handle that all together, you're going to do it, tell me when it's going to happen, you know.
But it wouldn't make sense. I'm already close to the store.
But where I'm going, Matt, is if you can find something that you can pass to Rebekah that she thinks is easy for her, it's going to be more likely that you're going to be able to take things off of her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're keeping score. I'm just saying, like, if I feel like I'm taking care of something for you and you take it, cool. It could be anything stupid. Like, it doesn't really even matter. Because what really happens is things that bother one person in the couple, and it's like a lot of mental load. Let's use that example. For somebody else, it's like, why are you even thinking about it? Like, what's the issue? I'll do that. No problem. And that's just part of that communication.
There's tons of stuff letting the dogs out in the morning. That would be huge for you. It's just not like you have a problem with it, but it's something.
You do that for some of the times as well.
Yeah, I do sometimes, but I could do it more and you would have an easier time getting out of the house in the morning.
Yeah.
See, like there's plenty of stuff. He doesn't think he does anything around here. I don't know where he gets that.
well, but let's use this example. If letting the dogs out makes Matt's day more awesome, and then he can take some of the financial burden off you, you both, the lift gets easier.
Yeah, we both have netted positive. Yeah, I like that.
The way I look at it is, let's say we got 100% of our time. And we're putting 70% of our time into our finances and our work. Now, I bundle work with finances because really they all go hand in hand. Well, that only means we got 30% of our time left for amazing life. If there's a way to shift that and say, okay, I can handle this better, or you can, we can find systems, we can simplify things, we can automate things, we can do whatever, that gives you more time to enjoy your amazing life.
I love that. That's great. Optimization.
What I like about it for you, Rebekah, is it's not optimizing to a number. It's just optimizing to like a
better day, a better string of good days even, that's very good. I like that.
All right, cool. By the way, Rebekah, we'll have to watch out. You'll probably want to try to find a way to measure your awesome life.
Not impossible that will be the case.
Become an influencer and go by
That's
followers.
not, I won't do that. I don't have a desire to be an influencer, but I understand in the world of social media, it is very much the nature of it to want to project certain levels of happiness or success or wealth or
Milestones,
whatever.
yeah.
Not only is it likely a false representation, it's just, again, something to strive for that ultimately, what is it getting you? Like that's one thing I'm thankful neither of us have really, not that people can enjoy social media in doses that are totally healthy and normal. We've skirted the problem there fairly well. We aren't trying to project any type of lifestyle that we don't appreciate other people doing similar things.
All right, Matt, we're going to ignore Rebekah for a second, since we're talking about social media. At some point, she's going to ask me, have people download the episode? How many people have downloaded it? Is it doing well? Right?
Oh, yeah. I'm
I only looked once. I only looked one time, and I said, this is not something I should be worried about.
But that's my point. It doesn't matter.
I know. I do know that. Yes.
Like, the whole point of this for you two is to actually learn stuff and improve your finances and improve your life.
Correct.
How many people download the episode does not matter.
Fair.
By the way, I'm laughing that you already looked.
Just once.
I think she knew when you uploaded the
Well, he told us.
first one.
Yeah.
Well, you knew before he told
Did
us.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the same day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's my homework. I'm not going to check.
By the way, I'll tell you right now, it drives me crazy because I look at some things, I'm like, all right, that was a great episode and nobody listened to it. What the heck? There's no rhyme or reason.
Exactly.
It just is what it is. But what happens is if we live by the measure, we're letting other people control our lives.
Totally true.
And social media is terrible about that. To the point where I'm I can't be on social media.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's gotten worse for sure. I mean,
because of the business, I have to track how many people do things and we track on a monthly basis. But it's just not healthy.
yeah,
So Matt, the moral of the story is don't let Rebekah on social media.
got it.
She doesn't do too much with social media. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I do even less, I think. But
Yeah. I mean, we both have it. It's honestly now just used to schedule events for family and stuff. It's that's not totally, we do once in a while do some photo sharing with our travels, but that's few and far between. But man, yeah, it's just become so, well, it's also ad heavy too, to the degree where, it's this is silly, but
Yeah, and I'm not going to ask how many people sent you a happy birthday message versus didn't on the, Like, I actually looked, there was somebody that had sent me a happy birthday message on LinkedIn every year for 5 years who I have no clue who it is. But like, whatever, just that's part of their process or automated or whatever. Like
once Facebook tells them that there's a birthday, they're just like, oh yeah, I got to go wish this person a happy birthday.
Or they see other people doing it. I did take my birthday off Facebook, so now only people who actually know my birthday reach out, which is kind of good. It's like, oh, good. Now I don't have all these
who you're married to. Yeah, it just says married now to me.
She's hiding you, Matt, obviously.
I work in information security, so I do tend to go bare bones with the information I put out there.
I didn't take it personally.
I know.
But he did bring it up in the middle of the meeting. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Seems like he cared a lot. No.
That's funny. So let's shift to talk about numbers. Now, I purposely wanted to start with the stuff on the bigger picture because if I start on the numbers, you'd obsess about them.
Yes. Fair.
You see the trick?
Yeah, that's fair.
The game on this, by the way, when numbers are going to drive you in one direction or another, is to look at the bigger picture first. I saw you did your tax return, and I saw we had like $2-3 grand refund.
Correct.
Is that normal for you two, or is that kind of like just this year?
That has been normal for a good number of years.
Okay. Which one of you has a mess up in your withholding is the question. That's too much. We need to make some adjustments because we gave the government a $3 grand loan. Do you have a plan for what you're going to do with the refund?
So we did use the refund for the car. So we did put 100% of it on to the car loan. That is, if it's not put towards debt, it's usually put towards a house project. That's not universally true, but year over year, that's typically what happens with that money. But yeah, so as far as who's got the problem, it's probably me. But I'll be honest, the whole part of the reason I do it is because I don't really understand it. So I go what I think is safe, and then I end up where we're at. Yeah,
that's why I'm looking at it right now.
Okay,
I'm looking at your pay stub. So Matt has federal with married with 0 dependents. So we can change that to 1. It'll fix it a little bit. And that would be the same for you, Rebekah. What's happening is, let me just double check. So I'll grab your tax return. Let me show you this. I'm going to upload this to Right Capital. So this is your taxes. Kind of a little fun with this. So you had $140,000 in total income. We took the standard deduction, $27,000, and then you ended up paying $15,000 in tax. There's really nothing fancy going on with your taxes. We just have the income coming in, nothing crazy. I'm just looking at down here. There's a bunch of notes. I'll send you this of like, well, this is where you're at, this and the other. There's nothing weird. By the way, the Ohio, one thing I watch out there is that local tax. Do they have one in your area?
Yeah, they do. We use Rita around here. Is that? Yep.
So just make sure you get that covered. It's just one of those weird ones.
That's another one that's kind of a fuss, but yeah, they do that.
Your taxes next year, I mean, your salaries aren't going to change much, correct?
Correct.
I mean, either of you getting like big bonuses or raises?
Not in this fiscal year, I don't think.
No.
Raise and bonus season was in January, and they passed on both of those for me. Or, yeah, just kind of in a tightening the belt mode at my organization. So, yeah, that was an expected outcome for across the board for everybody. So, yeah, that didn't happen this year. But, yeah, no expected bumps that are significant.
Yep. So what we need to do is between your 2 paychecks, adjust your taxes by about $100 a paycheck.
Okay.
Because you're getting paid every other week.
Right. That would even out.
$100 times. So you can pick which one of you. Doesn't really matter. Probably going to be easiest to fix yours, Rebekah. Take a look at your withholding. You may be withholding as single instead of married. It's not in your pay stub.
I think that's what it was. I'll have to go back. The W-4 I put in, I think that's where you dictate that, right? Okay.
And HR may allow you to just update it. What I want is like your tax to be like $500 either way. Like we owe $500 or get, because that's close enough.
Oh yeah, we can deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. If we can end up with an extra $2,500 a year, can you find something better to do than loaning it to the government?
Absolutely.
What would you two put it towards?
The proper structure, we should be, the sync funds or one of the other, buckets that we really need to be focusing on. Hopefully it would be, if all things being equal, when we give it to the government and we get it back, it went towards either debt or a house item. I would say it should go to either of those 2 things to align with our goals while we're trying to get out of debt, especially. So that would be what I would off the cuff say. Yeah.
That's cool. Because really, if you put that in the car, plus what you're already doing, the car's going to be paid off in the, 6 months ish. And then it would go towards your emergency fund.
That'd be awesome. Build that back up.
Well, the bonus then is you are actually gaining, whatever, high yield savings now 4 or 5%. The government does not give you interest.
That's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
It's one of the screwed up parts of the system. They charge you interest if you don't pay, but they don't give you interest if you over.
Yeah. How about that?
I'm going to put that in your homework to make that adjustment. Let's just do it to Rebekah's paycheck. Unless, Matt, do you really care which paycheck it goes to?
I don't know.
Yeah. All goes the same place.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That'll fix that. All right, let's look at this employee stock thing going on. Actually, before I go there, I want to, let's do that. So this is a little weird. Do you know anything about it or?
So after I sent you the statement, I did some reading on it because I send you this thing every year, maybe twice a year. I can't recall. Yeah, that one, where they go on to talk about how you will access that money in retirement. And it is a retirement fund or an augmentation to your retirement fund. And it seems like you, depending on when you access it, get so much per month from the lump sum. And that is all I learned.
So that is this math down here of an annuity. So it says, okay, you got $67,000 now.
Mm-hmm.
If you retire now, what it doesn't tell you is like, when can you retire? There's another document that'll tell you like,
okay,
at a certain age or this plus how many years. There's like a weird math equation. You'll get $436 per month, and that's for life. Now, sometimes what they'll do with these type of plans is when you retire, they may offer you just to like give you the cash on the way out. So that's $67,000 either way. Because what it's effectively doing is it's buying an annuity for you with that money. That's what's going on there.
Okay.
The bottom line is you got $67,000 you're not even thinking about. Because you were like, I don't know. I've got some money. I've got something. I don't know what it is.
That's exactly.
So I want to use this as a teaching point.
Okay.
You're worried about the couple $100 for the travel that we didn't do when we had $67,000 we weren't worrying about. Why?
Yeah.
I'm always going to ask why. You should get used to this by now.
Good. I'm glad you're asking these questions. I think it had to do why things loom large in the here and now when I've got till May to get together pet sitting money and Airbnb money and food money. And as opposed to I can't even think about that till I'm 65 or something. I guess it's the timeliness of the outcomes that is the driver for where I place my worry. But certainly it begs the question. It's part of the reason we're here today is to really understand those larger picture financial things, especially the items that I genuinely just don't understand, which was the associate stock ownership plan. For example, I don't even know if I were to leave the company, what would happen to that money?
It's 100% vested, so that means it's all yours.
Okay, so it would either sit in that account until whatever time, or in some cases, there's the case where they just say, here, this is, if you want it, it's yours. Okay.
Often what they do is when you leave, they don't want to have it on their books.
Got it.
So they're like,
prefer to
do this in the next 60, 90 days,
okay.
Or, like one of those type options. I don't have the whole plan details. There'll be a plan details document. If you find it, we're going to be uploaded to Right Capital so I can actually get deeper in it.
Okay.
But the basics are, you've got $67,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% yours.
Gotcha. Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, I wasn't super attached to it.
Yeah, that's good to know, but 67,000.
It's not nothing. I'm not being flippant about it. It was just, I wasn't super attached to it because I didn't know when or if it would remain even at its full value later in my life. So yeah, but I understand that's a fairly significant gift. Yeah. I mean, it's honestly every year they give us more. So it's been a really fantastic benefit. I'm
going to work on your language there. It's not a gift. You earned it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They did not give you $67,000 just because they felt like it.
That's so true. It's not how that operates. You're right.
By the way, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to shift the way you're thinking about it.
I see.
So we got kind of like the penny wise, pound foolish routine going on. Like the $67,000, I'm not worried about that. The $67, I am.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Matt, what do you think about that?
It's nice to know we have that, to look forward to. I guess It's more like an out of sight, out of mind thing. It's probably why you're not really thinking about it, but it's somewhere you don't really look at it to a degree. And like you said, not really going to come into effect until a certain point.
Right. But yeah, I think both of us, when he's talking about how we can be kind of hyper fixated on small, immediate, inconsequential financial situations, and then really just gloss over some of these things that are, maybe a little bit more. I mean, certainly I'll give another example. Our disability and some of our other benefits, and even just insurance coverages that we, you check the box, you get what you were told you need, and you just kind of carry on. When it's like, hey, if disaster hits, do we really even know what our situation is going to be? That's the kind of stuff that I think you're talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's essentially, focus up on these things that are high impact and stop worrying about the things that are low impact.
Well, we have to find a balance. So, yeah, we got to have a budget. Yeah, we have to have a plan for our money. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, we have to have a plan for overall. And we're going to come back to goals and structure and all that. But where I'm going with this is I'm trying to shift your vision a little bit. Let me grab my screen again and I'll show you where I'm going. I know, Rebekah, you love numbers. This is in the right capital system and you have access to this. Your net worth right now is $352,000. That's everything you own minus everything you owe. How does that feel to you?
It's another one of those little intangible, I understand, it's taking into account our property minus the mortgage plus investments minus, car debt. So I understand the basis of it. I'm just, I don't really know what's the goal here. What's the expected, I guess, net worth? I guess as a metric, what is any one person meant to do with that number? Not just me, but anybody. Yeah.
So here's why I like to use net worth. The net worth is actually the picture of your finances. People use FICO scores as a measure. I'm like, what's your credit score? I'm like, that means nothing. That means how you borrow debt. That's not means doesn't mean you're rich, doesn't mean you have money. You can be rich and have a terrible FICO score. You can be broke and have a good one. This says you two are now in your mid 30s and you got $350,000. It means you're doing better than at least 2/3 of the U.S. How's that feel?
I mean, that's good to hear. That's certainly on the right side of that statistic, I guess. Yeah, it's never been a thing I've been, I guess, considering as, like you said, as it is a picture of your finances. We've been trying to get out of debt, so that has aided us, obviously. I had student loan debt that got taken care of in 2020. There's been other, we've paid off other cars, other vehicles, things that have been, we've stayed out of credit card debt and out of we've been able to pay for everything we've done to our home out of pocket. So all those things like that tells me that those were steps taken in the right direction to not end up on the other side of that statistic, right?
And where I'm going with this is it is actually a scoreboard. I know you kind of like those, kind of hate those,
Sure.
But it's a scoreboard of how you've done. It is the add up of all that stuff you did. It is the budgeting, is getting it. The bonus is people often think about saving for retirement or investing. And they're like, oh, that gets me in the right direction. Well, paying off your debt gets you in the right direction too.
Gotcha.
Both of those will raise your net worth.
For sure. That's a good point.
Okay. Let's have a little fun with this. Let's assume you don't save any more money ever in your life. We just take what you have invested in the market, invested in the house. On average, that'll double about every 10 years. Now, that's a rough number, but just kind of that's the kind of standard routine. So that means by the time you two are mid-40s, you got $700,000. That means by the time you're mid-50s, you have $1.4 million. Mid-60s, 2.8. Mid-70s, 5.6. 85, 1.2 million. 11.2 million, sorry.
Yeah, wow. And that's if we don't contribute more, you said? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just wow. Assuming the money doubles every 10 years.
Right. It'll go up and down, but yeah, overall it probably will get somewhere in the vicinity of
that. Over 50 years, it's going to work itself out to that.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. That's crazy. I guess I'm sitting here with that number or that idea going, I've just been trying to get to a point of feeling safe as it relates to When I say safe, I mean, are we going to be taken care of when we're older? Are we going to be able to help our parents when the time is right and when it's needed? Are we going to be in a place that we can do that? All of those things are kind of what has been one of the driving factors. I won't say one of them's more than the other at this point, but all those, I guess, eventualities that are coming for us are kind of, they loom large for me as driving aspects. So I think it's good to hear that that's a possibility in our life, that we are on the track to do that kind of thing. By the same juncture, I feel like, I guess I want to take a step back and make sure we're not, because I will say a big piece of the reason why we don't have more debt is because we've been debt avoidant, I guess is the point. And like, that's obviously a good thing, but you know, if we ever wanted to do a major home improvement, you know, where we needed to take out a home equity loan or do something like that, like I don't want that to be off the table for our, you know, for the betterment of our enjoyment of our property or whatever the case may be. So I just want to make sure like we do strike that balance of not just putting off our, you know, immediate happiness and contentment for some future thing that, you know, either is made to be big and scary in my mind and maybe is, I mean, it is, but it doesn't need to be as, I guess, overwhelming as I maybe have given it in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, you're giving it power that, I mean, it's the old, it's living rent free in your head.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Huh.
And by the way, I made a note. We will next time specifically talk about your parents and long-term care because those are two big concerns, and we'll come back to that. But I'm trying to get the foundations. But where I'm going with this is, sure, the path you two are on, I don't know, I'd probably guess in 12 years-ish, 13 years, you're millionaires. Now, what you were trying to ask me, Rebekah, as well, is that good or bad? Am I at the right place? How am I comparing against other? And you've probably read all the articles. By 30, you have to have this. And by 40, ignore all that because that doesn't match your life. Matt, how do you feel that, like, I don't know, probably by the time you hit 50, you'll be millionaires at this rate. You'll probably be before then, but.
I mean, like the biggest aspect of, you know, money is survival and all that stuff. And we've always been in a place where we've been pretty comfortable. I don't think that's ever been not the case between us because we're very good with our money. I don't think we make a lot of rash decisions when it comes to the bigger ticket items. Obviously, I'm not going out and getting a new car every other month and stuff like that. Knowing that if we stay on this path, that means more stability, then we can afford a little more of the things that make us happy.
Rebekah, how are you feeling? Like he was talking about what you did well, and you like literally like hid your head, and you're like, I don't agree.
No, I don't think I disagree. I just more, you know, I think giving ourselves too big a pat on the back is like, what's the point of that? It's more of a, like, what does the word millionaire even really mean? Like, it's not like you have money and dividends. You have money up in, and this is true for anybody who has wealth. If it's in investments and it's not accessible to you, you know, if we don't make different choices, you know, our dog went through a thing we talked about in a prior discussion where it was like, you know, a little bit like, okay, well, we're going to bump up against what we can afford to spend to save his life, to save his leg, to save his, you know, well-being. If that came down to, okay, now it's not a dog, it's you, or it's me, or it's a surgery, or it's cancer treatment, or it's something that is bigger than any one person or any one financial problem. Are we, what does a millionaire mean? Like, you're not safe without the right aspects of a solution, I guess is my point.
And now I'm going to challenge you a little bit. Doing some work on, we have to do all these webinars and stuff. And they were just going over, looking at lifespan. The interesting thing is, the truth is, the more money you have, the longer you live. And that sounds wrong, but that is actually the truth.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like, because you can afford the preventative health. You can afford the... My wife does research on food and food insecurity, and they look at like organic foods. Well, the problem is the people that can afford organic foods can also afford good medical care. So you're not comparing apples to apples.
So true.
Rebekah, I think what we're going to have to do, I'm going to make this on the list. I don't want to do it next meeting because we're going to talk about parents' long-term care, but the one after that, we are going to do the Rebekah What If meeting.
Okay.
I want you to make the list of the 100 worst things are going to happen because you literally just listed 20 of them.
I know. It's a little window into my sunny personality there. Sorry.
Well, no, you're normal. So what we do is we pull it apart.
Okay, good.
The ones that are real issues, we insure. We pass the risk on to someone else. Long-term disability is a great example. Ones that aren't real issues, you have money, we can get access to it, we can do that. People kind of like get to the point like, okay, so they got $350,000 net worth, but where's that in my bank account?
Right.
I'm like, well, we just found 60 of it and you were ignoring it. But like,
that's true. I understand though. Yeah.
It is there and you can leverage it.
Okay.
What's happening is if we start doing this work now, when you get to $1 million, it's going to be like, oh, cool. We have an extra beer. It's not a huge,
right.
Then you need help. Your parents need help, whatever. You're like, okay, let's go into what we got and let's take care of that. So what we do is we make a plan for those because otherwise they just, once again, living rent free in your head, they're just like taking up space and worrying. And this is, the worries of paying a debt before it's due type routine. We're paying a debt that may never happen before it's due. We're going to have to get away from that because you two are doing well.
Okay.
Do you feel that or do you not?
I do. No, I definitely, I do feel like we are taking the right steps and we've done the right things for at least a certain number of years. I do think before that we were just living our lives without thinking about any of this kind of stuff. Like we still were not being super foolhardy, obviously. Like we didn't go out and, either of us even like do anything too crazy in our 20s as it relates to getting into a lot of debt, or even just developing habits of lifestyle creep, that kind of thing. So that aspect, I think, set us up for what we are dealing with now. It has literally probably only been since, I want to say like 2019 at 2020 that I started really considering, wow, you haven't really put any more than the company match into your retirement. You've not really done, any of the things that you probably should be thinking about. And like your life's moving on, like you're almost 30. I was 30 in 2020, actually. So I was like, what am I doing? Right. So it was a little wake up call, but I think, I do think we've taken some good steps recently, especially.
And I'm going to go back to the gap in the gain. What you missed is you really did good stuff the entire time you two have been together. Staying out of debt, not making your lifestyle creep, but, putting money aside. We've been doing good decisions.
Okay. You're
not giving yourself credit for it. You deserve $350,000 of credit.
Awesome. Yeah, you're right.
Like that's what I'm trying to show you. When you ask about where does that measure sit, my goal ultimately, I'd like you to like once a quarter look at it and go, my net worth going in the right direction? Yep, cool. And that's all you worry about.
Cool.
That's going to take a lot of work to get you there. Like I check mine a little more than once a quarter too. So like I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it either. But that's what ends up happening. You deserve a little pat on the back and go, cool, we're doing good. When it looks at net worth, the hardest is actually getting to zero. Zero net worth means you own just as much as you owe. We're good. That's the hard one. Okay? $100,000 is the next stop. Get into 100,000 net worth, take some good work. You had done that before you even thought about finances.
Wow. That's interesting.
Huh. Think about it. You've just had 4 years you've been up in your retirement, so you probably, I don't know, let's say you changed that net worth by $50,000 or $70,000. That's probably what you did since you've been thinking about it for 4 years. So the first 300,000 of that was just good behaviors, good things.
That's unreal. Yeah. I didn't think about it like that.
Little technicality. Get from 100,000 to $1 million is purely time. Do good things and just let it sit. It'll get to $1 million.
Can do that.
That's what they talk about. Like your first million's the hardest, and then the second's much easier because it is. Like because it just starts building on its own and grow. So people are like, I just want to skip the first million and get to my second. Like okay, that's not going to happen. But what really happened was good behaviors with money for 30 some odd years have gotten you to $350,000.
Drink to that. I appreciate you saying that.
Matt, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think we've done a lot of good things and we make a lot of good choices, and that reflects it.
Yeah, I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to like rain on anybody's parade. I think try to avoid some of the pitfalls, and by doing that, that's been a major boost in the right direction. I think we struggle like anyone with budgeting, with understanding where our money's going. I think, we've got a long way to go with that, but we've ultimately,
Rebekah,
positive.
It's not a long way. You've done well. You're making improvements. It's not, we have a long way. It's like, that's what I'm trying to show you. By the way, if you haven't listened to it, you got to go back to the podcast and listen to the episode on money guilt, because I'm hearing some of that.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that the first meeting. Yeah, I should.
Yeah, well, this is coming back out. Like, I'm just telling you. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Because what we ultimately want to get you to the point is, one of the things we say is like, I want to get you to the point where you say, I'm proudly child-free and wealthy. That doesn't mean I'm rich. That doesn't mean like I have millions, but I'm proudly child-free and wealthy. Wealthy means you have the time, money, and freedom to do what you enjoy. You're essentially there. You just don't feel it yet. You're looking at the scoreboard and going, well, that's not enough.
Interesting. Yeah. It is a mindset. It's a mindset thing for me. Yeah, I got you. Yep.
And here's the thing. A lot of people go like magic numbers. Well, if I hit $1 million, I'll feel comfortable. Or I hit 2 or I hit... It never works.
Yeah.
It's the mindset.
I can actually tell you it's not going to work for me, because I already am like, what is that? That's not really that's interesting, because it's not a number for me. It's a feeling of security. And I don't even know what it's tangibly going to do that for me, because you can't buy your way out of pain and sickness and illness and death and problems. Like those are inevitabilities. So like you said, I think making the plans for those scenarios is really what my desire is here. And maybe that's what
we're going in that direction.
Awesome.
But what I'm doing, by the way, is I set the framework of, let's talk about money. Let's talk about the gap in the game. Let's talk about your overall picture. Because then when we get to these other parts, it's going to be easy.
You set the stage.
And that's the hard part. Yep. Well, that's why I'm not doing it next time, because parents in long-term care, we're going to have to talk about anyway. Estate planning, we got to do that.
Got it.
Then we get to what ifs.
Perfect.
Because what'll happen is you'll ask me for those. I'm like, those are whole topics in their own. What happens is, at some point, Rebekah, you're going to have to give some of those worries to Matt. We're going to go, that's not a likely thing. Let Matt worry about that one. We'll buy insurance for this one. You worry about this one, because that one's most likely.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, is you got to find that balance. And it's a lifetime struggle. The bonus is you're starting it in your 30s. Like, that's a whole lot better than like, oh, I'm 60 and going, oh, what's the end of the world look like? Like it just.
That's actually true. Yeah. I could have had the little wake up and pay attention thing happen at, 45, 50, 60 and be in a much worse place. Yes.
Actually, I'm going to argue if you didn't have the wake up, you still would be okay, because you were having good behaviors.
Possibly. Yeah, you're right.
You might not be optimized, but you would have been okay. You two were technically doing what we call mindlessly saving. You were just kind of like doing your thing. It was going fine, kind of like earning enough money that we can put a little aside, doing our thing. And it added up. Now we're trying to be mindful about it.
Min-max. Optimize. I love it. Okay.
So before we finish, any questions you want to make sure I answer? Or I know I messed with your head a lot today, Rebekah, and Matt, don't worry, you'll get your turn.
No, this has been good. This has been good for me I was prepared to kind of come in and talk about the gap and the gain a little bit, and we did. I'm glad we did. But yeah, I've been challenged in a lot of even new ways to just go, okay, well, at the end of the day, yeah, there isn't really a tangible goal I have from a finance standpoint. There's not a thing I want or a number I want to see. It's just that feeling of I'm going to be taken care of, and you are, and we've got a plan, and we are okay is what I think that's helpful for me to frame everything in a way that makes me feel less, I guess, money hungry, money obsessed. Like that's not me as a person. It's more of that need of security that I think drives me. Hopefully, that's makes sense, but yeah, this is good.
It does. And I want to show you something, Rebekah, just be transparent of the way I did this meeting. I spent, 5 to 10% of time on the numbers. I spent 90% of the time on your ways of thinking, because that's what actually needs the shift, which is not what you planned when you met with me, but that's kind of the point.
That's very interesting. I'm glad you said that way. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's I'm the problem.
The other now, we all are the problem. Yeah. Actually, our money mindsets, our behaviors around it are an issue. Always. Matt's probably a little far on the other side of like, it'll just happen. You're a little far on the worry side. So we find that middle in between. We're okay. It's a yin yang type routine. Yeah. What you're going to find, by the way, is eventually this money stuff is going to be less and less of a thought. Then we have more time for the amazing life. And eventually we'll get to a point where you're like, really? I was that worried about it? We'll get you there, but you've already made huge improvements since we started talking. You've already done good things. I will have to figure out how to get you to take a victory lap at some point. But we'll get there.
Okay. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a rating or review. We'd love to keep the conversation going. Follow Childfree Wealth on social media or email us at podcast@childfreewealth.com. If you're interested in working together, learn more by visiting our website, www.childfreewealth.com. We'll see you next time.